Ahoy there, YouTube! I'm back again today for another game review and a special expansion review. And today I'm very excited to check out the Heart of Crown Path Before Heaven expansion for the original Heart of Crown deck building game. This is still for 2 to 4 players, take about 20 to 40 minutes to play, and it's for ages 13 plus. And the Path Before Heaven expansion is a small box expansion that is going to add a new princess, a new type of cards called support cards that are going to give you some interesting choices to make when you acquire a princess, and 10 new common cards, which will have a new special ability you'll be able to utilize and a new mechanism into the game. I love the base game. I thought it was a great deck building game. It's still in my collection. I reviewed the Far East Territory expansion. I thought it made the game slightly better. Does this one continue the trend of making the original base game even better? Let's open it up and I'll tell you what I think. Alrighty then, we're going to take a look at what you're going to get inside of Heart of Crown Path Before Heaven expansion. Before we get started, I do want to mention that I'm just going to be going over what's going to be new inside of the expansion box, which cards you're going to get, and what new mechanisms are introduced into the game. I'm not going to be going over how to play the game. If you want to see that, watch the original Heart of Crown review I did. So first and foremost, we have our handy dandy rule booklet, 14 pages, double-sided, no pictures, except for, oddly enough, that picture right there of a scantily clad lady. And overall, it's a well-done rule booklet. You'll probably need it once, maybe twice, and never need it again. The new things you're going to get are a princess, which is very simple to introduce, the support cards, which are really stinking awesome, I'll tell you about in a second, but also really easy to introduce, and then 10 new types of common cards that you'll be able to mix and match, even though it does say at the back of the rules they don't recommend mixing certain cards with certain other cards, but let's be honest, you're never going to read that. I will say the big thing that I like about the rule booklet, aside from the fact that it clearly explains everything, is the fact it has an FAQ for all the new cards and different interactions that you might see, and this is actually really useful, because I remember I actually did use I think it was the Lighthouse. I went to the FAQ and the information I needed was there. So big thumbs up on the tiny rule booklet. You want to throw that into the base box. So let's go over what's new with the game, and then I'll try and keep my opinions toward the end, but it's going to leak through because I really enjoy Heart of Crown. So first and foremost, we have Princess of the Ancient Dynasty, Ru Li, and what she's going to be able to do is when you back her, you're going to place as many support cards as there are large cities in your domain, plus 1 into your domain. Also, when you back her, you do not move any farming villages into your domain. So pretty cool special ability, and if you're going with that strategy at the beginning of the game, that's really going to be helpful. Next, we have what is definitely my favorite addition to the game, which are the support cards. And the support cards are a really interesting choice you're going to have to make. So normally when you get to 6, you get yourself a princess. Sometimes there's some really good common cards out there and you might change your mind, but most of the time you're probably going to get to your princess because that's like kind of the point where you pivot into the game. This, however, is going to give you an additional choice where you can get your princess for 6, or if you want to wait until you can get 8 coins, you are going to be able to get a princess plus a support cards. And these things are just can be wildly powerful depending on what you're doing. So let's just go over a couple of them. So once each turn during your main phase, you may acquire up to 3 farming villages and add them directly to your hand. Huge! When you back a princess and gain Tactician Shaolin, you may acquire 1 action card from the market with a cost of 5 or less. Also, during your main phase, you can play as many cards as you wish without needing link symbols. What? That's crazy! So this one, it's going to give you the 2. Each time you place a card with 6 or more succession points in your domain, put 2 succession point plus 1 counters on this card. So if you're going for big card strategy, great one there. When you start your cleanup phase, you may select 1 card from your discard pile and put it on the bottom of your draw pile. Revealed. Big. When you put a princess and gain Artwitch Aura, each of your opponents reveals all the cards in their hand, deck, discard pile, and kept in their domain. Aurora banishes the most expensive non-rare card revealed, then the player controlling Aurora acquires 1 card from the market with a cost equal or less than that of the card banished minus 1. So it's a big wordy one, but essentially it's really going to help you out and it's really going to screw over your opponents. And as you can see, there's a good deal of these cards. I think there's, 9, 10 of these cards. So really good amount of variety, and it's going to help you really cater your strategy to what you want to do. Love these cards. Granted, I'll mention that more in the pros and cons. Last but not least, we have the 10 new common cards with the new Conditional Activation ability, which I'll explain. So essentially how this works is you can use this like a regular card. So this one's going to give you a coin, and then it's going to get the draw 1 card. But you can also do the Conditional Activation ability, which this one places a succession card in your domain. So if you discard Private Tutor from your hand, which is this card right here, place a succession point plus 1 counter on the princess card in your domain. This one's actually kind of a bad example. Let's go to a different one that'll be kind of a better example. All right, here we go. So this one is the small isolated island. Select one of the following effects. You can either get 1 coin or banish 1 card of your choice from your hand. Or there's the Conditional Activation ability, which allows you to banish a card through a common card's ability and then discard small isolated island from your hand. Then you may acquire 1 card from the market with a cost equal to or less the cost of the card you banish +2. So this one's going to let you banish stuff, or if you banish something else with a different common card, then you'll be able to acquire cards as well. So while you're banishing stuff, you're also going to be able to acquire cards. Now, there are some rules that you might need to go to in the rule booklet when you're first starting the game. So essentially, if you had 3 of these in your hand, you couldn't just banish a card and then say, I'm going to do this special ability 3 times. No, you have to do each one individually, but still really cool cards there. But then we'll go over the rest of the stuff. Draw 1 card, Conditional Activation ability, add a card to your hand by any card effect. So if you do that, you get to discard Lighthouse from your hand, then select a non-Lighthouse card from your discard pile and add it to your hand, which can be absolutely monumentally big. We have the Kung Fu Master. Reveal the top card of your draw pile, then either add it to your hand or banish it. Each of your opponents who does not have the top card of the draw pile revealed must reveal the top 2 cards of their draw pile and put the revealed card with a lower cost. If they're the same, choose which on top of their draw pile revealed and the other card in their discard pile, which obviously not the nicest card to have played on you. We have the Wealthy Daughter. When you buy this card from the market, set it in your domain or banish it. Put 1 coin counter in the coin area. This effect cannot put more than 3 coin counters in your coin area. Hand activation ability, banish this card from your hand. So you can just boop, get rid of it. So we have Chivalrous Thief. Each of your opponents with 5 or more cards in your hand must discard 1 card of their choice, also worth 2. Conditional Activation ability. When you play an attack card, you can discard this card from your hand, then place 1 coin counter in your coin area. This effect cannot put 3 or more coin counters in your coin area. So, you gain the following effect. If you have not played a Witch Doctor during your main phase, and this is the Witch Doctor, reveal the top 2 cards of your deck. If either or both of them are Calamity cards, banish the Calamity cards and add any remaining cards to your hand. Really nice. So we already talked about the tutor. Acquire 1 card with a cost of 3 or less from the market. Conditional Activation ability. Acquire a card via the effect of a common card. You can discard prior investment from your hand, this card. Then you may acquire 1 card from the market with a cost equal to or less than the cost of the card you acquired +2. Once again, these are very wordy, but I assure you when you read it, it's all pretty simple stuff. Discard any 2 cards from your hand. Then you may acquire 1 non-rare card from the market with a cost equal to or less than the combined cost of the discarded cards -1. Really stinking cool card. And then last but not least, we have the Hopping Vampire. When you buy a Hopping Vampire from the market, each opponent may reveal 1 Calamity card in their discard pile. Opponents who do not do so acquire 1 curse. 2 coins. Each opponent may reveal 1 Calamity card in their discard pile. Opponents who do not acquire 1 curse. So, those are the 10 new cards you're going to get. As always, you're just going to have you also have the randomizer cards, and you'll have the sorter cards for the box, because everything is going to fit in the base box. Those are in my base box, so I'm not going to show them to you. So one last thing I forgot to mention that's really cool about these special abilities is if you're using the conditional ability on the bottom, you don't have to have a link effect in order to do it, which can be a really big selling point as well. But that, in a nutshell, is what you're going to get inside of the Heart of Crown Path Before Heaven expansion. Alrighty then, the Heart of Crown Path Before Heaven expansion from Japanime Games. What are my final thoughts? Let's go over the pros, let's go over the cons. First, on the con side, if you did not like the original Heart of Crown, I don't want to talk to you, but this is not going to change your mind. It does add to the new abilities, the new support cards, new common cards, a new princess, which is great if you liked the game, but if you didn't like the base game for one reason or another, this is not going to sway your opinion. Also, I was a little bit annoyed because some of these cards are not going to work so well with other cards, and let's be brutally honest, you're never going to check if you randomize like I randomize to see if the cards are supposed to sync up with each other, which means you can have some games where stuff should not be put together, and they are going to be put together, and it's going to cause maybe an issue with some of the cards syncing up. I don't think it's going to break the game. I haven't run into this issue yet. I've played 3 games with the expansion. I enjoyed the heck out of all 3 games, spoiler alert, but I didn't specifically go out of my way to try and combine those. I actually probably should have to see what would happen. Maybe it slows the game down too much or something like that. Maybe it's too attacky. I don't know. I didn't read that section, to be brutally honest with you. But you do need to know that some of the cards are not going to work as well together with other cards. And that's the same case with pretty much every deck builder that gets a whole bunch of expansions, though. But it is something that you are going to want to take note of if you're not like me and want to take note of stuff like that. Any other cons that I have with the game? The conditional activation is really cool, but you need to make sure you explain that rule correctly, because it is a really simple rule. It's just like, if you do something, then you can do this special ability most of the time by discarding that card, and you don't have to use a linking effect. So it's like you get this free action that you can do, which can open up some cool possibilities. You just need to make sure that you explain to people early on that, like, oh, if you're hoarding these cards in the hopes of triggering, 3 cards at one time, you can't do that. But once you do that, it is a relatively simple expansion to add to the base game. And I don't really have too much else for you. I'm going to tell you, I think this is a great expansion for Heart of Crown. And if you like Heart of Crown, if you own Heart of Crown, I absolutely recommend this expansion. Do I like it this or better than the Far East Territory better, which is the other one I reviewed? I honestly could not tell you because I don't remember specifically what was in the Far East Territory. I just kind of mixed it all in my box. Shut up, computer. And that's what I'm going to do with this one as well. But moving on to the pros, I thought this was a great expansion. And if you like Heart of Crown, get this expansion. It's just that simple. What I really like about this expansion, I'm going to go into the nuts and bolts of what I like specifically about the new cards, but the thing I really like about this is the kind of expansion that you can very easily add into a game. And when you get those randomizer cards, just throw the new randomizer cards in with the old randomizer cards, and you happen to get one that has the, what is it called? Conditional Activation ability. I can't remember that name for some reason. Then you just explain, oh, this is how the conditional activation ability works when the card comes up, and you go about merry ways. Same with the support cards. You just throw the support cards there, you say, oh, when you're getting a princess, if you have the additional $2 and you would like to, and you will want to, if you have the additional $2, you can get one of these support cards, and these support cards are crazy powerful and do some really interesting things and can really open up your strategy. Like, that's one of the things that I love about this game, is there's so many different strategies that you can pursue on how to win the game, and this just opens it up even more. So let's actually talk about what comes in the base game and what I like. So first, the common cards. I like the common cards. They're a little heavy on the attack cards for me. I'm not the biggest fan of attack cards in the game because with the deck building game, I like to build my deck. I like to do my own thing. I like to get my engine churning. So the attack cards, I can take them or leave them. But if you do like attack cards, there's some good ones in there, and there's some pretty powerful ones in there as well. But I do like some of the cards. I think my favorite card was the Caravan, which is a super awesome, powerful card. Like, you see that up and you're like, oh yeah, give me that Caravan. But it's also kind of a situational card where it's only going to work if you got the big cards out there, like the big game hunting cards, the expensive cards. So I did like the common cards, and I think they're really cool and they can mix them into the collection. But that's not really what I want to talk about. Same with the Princess. It's another viable strategy that you're going to have if you happen to focus your strategy on a specific way. And it's more variability. So the Princess, great. New common cards, great. But what I really like about this expansion, what I think most people are really gonna be a big fan of this, and why, you know what, I might actually recommend this over the Far East Territory just for those support cards, because those stinking support cards, there's 10 of them, and they really do some cool, interesting things. And it's like, my favorite aspect of Heart of Crown is without a doubt the Princess. How you get your own princess, and it kind of changes how you're going to pivot and play the next part of the game based on what princess you got and what special ability you get. This is going to give you an additional special ability on top of that, but only if you're willing to pay that extra money. And getting to $8, that's pretty difficult. So it's like, all right, do I want to just start my pivot right now and get that princess, or do I wait until I can get that additional $2? Because I forgot to mention this in the middle part, but you can't buy a support card after the fact. You can't buy 2 support cards. I didn't mention that, but duh. Yeah, but you can't buy that support card after. So you have to either decide, if you get to like that $6, you're like, all right, I could either buy the princess now and just steamroll my way to hopefully winning the end of the game, or I can wait until I get a little bit more money, maybe go buy a better card, maybe buy a good card, a good common card, and then come back later to that $8, and I'm going to have this extra special ability on top of my special ability. And I love the fact that they made these support cards worth your money. They are super awesome, and they're super diverse, and you know what, now that I think about it, I definitely recommend this one over the Far East expansion. Even though I don't remember that much about the Far East expansion, I can't see myself liking it more than this expansion, because I gave the original base game an 8. I thought it was a great deck building game. I couldn't wait to see what more they came out with it. I gave that one an 8.1. I think I'm going to give this one like an 8.3 or something like that, because those support cards really do bump it up enough. And it adds an extra, really interesting, really pivotal choice in the game. It's like, if I have $6 or $7, do I want to wait, or do I just want to get that princess? And I think that's a really interesting choice to be made in the game. So in the end, Heart of Crown, Path Before Heaven. Super easy recommendation if you have Heart of Crown, and if you enjoy Heart of Crown. If you haven't played Heart of Crown and you're still watching this, absolutely recommend it. It's like Dominion, but better, honestly. I think if I wasn't such a collector, this would be a Dominion killer for me. And I think for most people who don't have a stupid amount of games like I do, this could easily be something that could replace Dominion for you, because it does scratch that same itch, but I think it has more character and more interesting choices to be made. But I mentioned all that in my original Heart of Crown review. So that is Heart of Crown, Path Before Heaven, a very easy recommendation if you're a fan of Heart of Crown. If you enjoyed this review, please be sure to click on that subscribe button down below. If you want to support the channel, click on that Amazon Associates link down below. Buy anything on Amazon for the same amazing great prices you always get on Amazon, but it throws a couple pennies my way. And in the comments below, let me know, what is the last game that you were infatuated with? So the game that you played and you're just like, oh my god, this is amazing, I want to play it over and over and over and over again. Last time that happened to me was a couple months ago. It was actually, you know what? Yeah, it was a couple months ago. It was Werewords. Werewords just absolutely just sucked me in. I was enthralled with the game, and I would play that game right stinking now if I had enough people in my basement. But unfortunately, it's just me down here by myself. But hey, you guys are here, right? But let me know in the comments below. What's the last game you were enthralled with? And as always, thanks for your time, YouTube.